Hi, I'd like to talk about Barbasetti's counter parries today. So this is section 31, sort of right after the yielding parries, and they're great moves. Typically, we use the circular parries or counter parries of third and fourth the most frequently. Tertiary would be probably second, especially against anyone who's Italian or French trained and who will employ the point quite a bit in saber. He also includes first and fifth, and these we use less often, but they're good to practice. And Barbasetti does not include sixth, but if I recall correctly, and Sean Mueller, Sebastian Seeger, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Rossi does include it. Regardless, first, fifth, and sixth, if you accept a sixth, we don't use very often. However, they're good medicine for the hand. They're good to practice. They're complicated in a way that simple parries are not. And if you can do those well, then simple parries are easy. So it's good just practice. There are occasions in which you might use them as well. I mean, you need a pretty decent opponent who's capable of performing these kinds of actions and these kinds of feints, but they work well. When do you use them? Well, Barbasetti lists a couple different occasions, but functionally, these circular parries work best and most frequently against feints. So for example, let's say you feint to my outside line and I parry third, and then you disengage under. The go-to parry for that is always fourth, right? That's the most basic thing I could do. However, you have another choice where if I parry third and you disengage under, I can make a clockwise rotation under your blade and pick it back up. Likewise in fourth, if I cut here and you disengage, I could go to third, or I could dip under counterclockwise and pick up the same line. Those are the two we use the most often. For fifth, it's kind of the same thing. If I parry fifth and then you come under, say with the point, then as I'm backing up, I pick it up here. Second works much the same way. What I think is going to interest most people in this particular chapter, at least as sort of oddities, they're not that odd, are his counter of prime and counter of fifth. And his explanations for these, if you sit with it long enough and sort of break down the assumptions that are there, they're not that bad. But it's a teaching text, and he's assuming a certain amount of knowledge on the part of the reader. And so I thought it might help to kind of break down some of the things you need to know if you're going to practice these counter parries. So the counter of prime is affected after I've cut to my opponent's head, right? So they've parried. Now, as they're riposting to my inside, what I'm doing is I'm coming from here and I'm sweeping into prime as I step forward. So there's some assumptions here. One, it assumes that after I've attacked my opponent that they've stepped backwards. They should be taking a half step sometimes, but that's not always going to be the case. So that's one of those moments you have to kind of judge. The way that I typically practice this with someone is I have them recover backwards to parry, and then I follow them in. Why would I do this? Well, it depends on the opponent, depends on the situation, but you might do this to stuff the attack and sort of discombobulate somebody. So if someone's expecting you to do this sort of tick-attack parry riposte where you lunge, recover, and you just keep doing that, you get into this pattern. So if you break that pattern, right, it's gonna be unexpected. So it can work really well that way. Another thing to think about in terms of the period in which this was written, Barbasetti's teaching at a military college. He's teaching military masters, and so he's teaching military people. In the context of combat, you're not fighting on a piece. You're not fighting in a line that's nice and pretty. There are going to be times where it's better to stuff the attack because there are other nasty things that you can do. So, for example, in this instance, if I've parried, you cut to your head and you've parried, and then as you're cutting in to my chest, I move in. From here, I can grab your weapon, I can pommel strike you in the face, I can cut to the neck. There's a lot of different things that I can do. And so that opens up possibilities that, we don't see in competitive fencing for obvious reasons. It's, dangerous. Likewise, the counter of fifth assumes certain things. So in this case, I have cut to your inside line and you've parried prime. And you're making a molinello to my head. So what I'm doing is I'm coming up like this, again with a forward step. So let's sort of break this down. If I cut here and then you've parried this in prime and you're coming up, I step in under fifth. And again, it sets up these same kinds of options, right? I can grab the wrist, clock you in the face. There's all kinds of really fun things you can do that are mean and nasty. But there are interesting actions. They're good to practice and lots of fun. So without further ado, I'll show you the next part of the video. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks. Bye. All right. So we're just gonna do this in super slow-mo.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll start with circular third. So
Okay.
I'll take kind of like invite and forth. So I'm gonna thrust here, and then as I disengage under it, you just bring it around. If you look at where we're placed, you're set up to hit me wherever you want. So you can thrust from here, you can cut, a lot of different things. So one more time. So feint, disengage, perfect. And then for fourth, same thing. I feint, come under, and pick it up. Yep. Feint, disengage, boom. Yeah. And I wouldn't step in too much.
Okay.
Just here, there. Yeah. So one more time.
Okay.
Nice and slow. There. So now you've got me. You can go ahead and hit.
Okay.
Right. If you step in too soon, you might double. Right. This works best, let's say, if I'm advancing in that. So we'll do it in slow motion.
Okay.
But if I feint on the step and then come over here, that's more realistic.
And I have to back up to maintain.
You have to back up. And it's just a half step, right? It's just that, right? Step, good, that's it. Now you're close enough to hit something. For fifth, let's say I feint to your head and then I come under. Yep, that's it. You just pick
And then
up.
from here,
Yep, that's the easiest shot. Or you can step off and hit it somewhere else. For second, so let's go to second. If you're a little bit more over here, like the invitation, and then come in, and then come over. Yeah. Boom. So more realistically, let's say you're inviting me first. So
what I
kind of like that. So I think, oh great. So I feint. You step back. I bring it over. Yeah. Boom. So let's do that with a step back.
Okay.
Right. So you invite, feint, one, boom. Yeah. And then the last one is first. It works the same way. So you're inviting in second.
It's like,
Yep. Ha, I've got you, right? Oh no. Step back, boom. Yeah, and that from there you can make the molinello, you can make a direct cut, whichever you want. Let's do that 3/4 maybe, so they can see the inside line on those. Okay, so start over with third.
okay.
Game right and fourth. 1, 2. Boom. Fourth. 1, 2. Good. And fifth. Boom. Nice. First. 1, 2. And then the opposite from second. So you invite a little bit, yeah. 1, 2. Boom. So those are the basic circle parries. And then let's see. This is the fun one. So I'm going to have you do the attack.
Okay.
So we'll do circle counter first, which means you're going to cut to my head.
Okay.
Right, so we'll do this in super slow motion. So if we're here and you cut to my head, I parry. As I cut here, you're going to step forward and in. Right? And then boom. You do whatever you want. So one more time.
Okay,
So
so
step
I'm
back just a
gonna-
little bit. So you cut to my head, I parry, and then as I start to do this, you step in. Yeah. Right? Boom. So that's counter fifth. Counter first. Yeah. So you come in. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. Do one more time.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you. That was awesome.